I'd go on a date and I was ashamed because I didn't feel like a woman could accept who I was. A sick young man who couldn't stay away from a bathroom. How disgusting. I'm on live television with Tommy Hilfiger and wearing his outfits. I'm going to events where Leonardo DiCaprio is right there and Tom Hanks is right there, and I can't control my bowel movements. 18 months, 20 months later, I was 185 pounds. I was about 85% symptom free. Gotten rid of most of it. My colonoscopy looked about 85% better. And I was medication free, and I never got a surgery. And it's been over 10 years since I've had a medication, and I've been able to take care of myself and keep myself healthy and help thousands of people do the same.
Before we begin today's episode, I would just like to take a moment to thank you for being here and for subscribing to the Heal Within podcast. Your support truly keeps this show going, and it helps it to reach more people who are on their healing journey. I'm so grateful that you're listening. What are some things that people are doing on a daily basis that are aggravating their gut that maybe they're not even aware of?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, we live in a world where first thing I would say is our daily lives are very different than our great great grandparents, great great grandma, great great grandfather, even great grandfather or grandfather. And if you look at it, we think, well, they woke up and had eggs and bread and milk, but all of those things are actually completely different foods. So one thing that's completely different is we get ours from a store that was, flown in, shipped in, or created in a very different way. So I think a lot of us don't know it. It goes, well, what am I doing wrong? I'm having eggs or I'm having milk. And I would say, well, that's A1 beta casein dairy. And there was actually a mutation in the cow. This is an example. There was a mutation in our cows in America from the type of cow we were using and confined animal feeding operations. And we started using a type of dairy cow that could actually create a little bit more milk, especially with the hormones we pumped and the antibiotics and all of these things and keeping the cow pregnant to create milk. And this actually created a inflammatory type of casein protein in the milk that has drastically increased dairy sensitivity. And I believe linked with acne, inflamed joints, inflamed gut lining, diarrhea, because really milk intolerance back in the 1950s was very minimal. But now it's probably what? If you talk to one of your friends, how many people do you think don't do well with dairy, just in your local circle?
I probably know at least half a dozen.
Yeah, it's it's
Yeah.
it's grown. Like how is the same? So I just wanted to say real quick that milk is not milk anymore. Eggs are
Mhm.
not eggs anymore. And I know that's hard to say, okay, what do I do with that? That sounds scary. And so what we have to do is become educated around how our food has secretly been manipulated, poisoned, that's destroying the human gut. Because we need earthbound, God-bound food. And when man gets in the middle of that, we call that chemically processed, or we call it chemicals in it, we call it processed, we call it altered, and that injures the gut. So I think what we don't know, and it's very inconvenient and it's tough to deal with, but we want to try to get organic, local farm foods. And we want to start learning about things like getting A2 cow. So right now, everyone listening, I want you to search A2 cow milk and you'll read all about it. And see if you can start getting things like an A2 cow milk or an A2 butter or an A2 cheese. I didn't have dairy for about 8 years until I really felt my gut was strong enough and did some lab tests and then felt good that I could start having A2 cheese, A2 yogurt. Like I make my own homemade yogurt and I have it usually on a weekly basis. I use L-reuteri probiotic. I use an A2 half and half cream and I make it in a yogurt maker, which is really easy, guys. Anyone can do it. It's like 3 steps, right? You add inulin powder or prebiotic. You add the L-reuteri probiotic starter. You add it in the half and half, mix it together, put it on 36 hours at 98 degrees, boom. So now I'm having more of a yogurt that someone may have had in the early 1900s. How did people get yogurt in the 1900s, right?
Mhm.
How did they get eggs? They had chickens. What did the chickens eat? right? They ate worms, bugs, insects, maybe substituted for some sort of grain like extra corn or something like this. So that's one thing is that chicken is not chicken. We see these diets, and a lot of the famous diets we've heard about, carnivore, vegan, paleo, SCD, they're generalized terms to help people really avoid toxins and start helping to give the body space to rebuild the gut. So one of the things I teach I think is really big is I want everyone listening to just ask yourself, why are certain diets taking things out? Why are certain diets calling for certain things? And a lot of the diets are calling for the same thing. Example, SCD diet, carnivore diet, paleo diet, autoimmune protocol diet, they're all calling to get rid of grains. Why? Because the
They irritate
grains are,
the gut?
go ahead.
They irritate the gut?
They irritate the gut, but why is it people all around the world have been eating grains for 100, 200 years? Because they're not properly prepared.
Hmm.
Our grains are, like white rice, high in arsenic, and we have other grains sprayed with glyphosate. Glyphosate is a known carcinogen causing cancer, destroying the gut lining, an antibiotic. It kills off the good microbiome. When that gets weakened, it's very hard to rebuild. And most people with any autoimmune have a weakened microbiome. They go hand in hand, and they also have leaky gut. So if you look at what do I do to my gut, I just want you to understand, what are you trying to achieve? You're trying to rebalance the city of bacteria, number one. Number two, you're trying to strengthen and close up the gut lining.
Hmm.
Number three, you're trying to optimize your digestion. A lot of us getting bloating, right? We have poor digestion. We see undigested food in the stool, poor digestion. We're not able to gain weight, poor pancreatic function. We can't assimilate the proteins. Okay, lots of acne, poor getting a lot of gas, bloating when we eat fats, poor bile production from the liver. These are just biochemistries that are injured in the human experience. They're a 100% root cause for what? Your symptoms.
So if someone is experiencing these symptoms, they have these different gut issues, whether it's IBS, IBD, Crohn's, which I would love to go over the
Mhm,
differences of those.
mhm.
But basically, you're saying that they should look at their diet first and foremost.
I would say the first thing to look at is your mental health and spirit. Because what I like to say is you want to practice dancing in the rain when you have symptoms of inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, pancreatitis we can talk about. You have to get you have to get a hold of your spirit, because when we're sick, we're alone and we feel ashamed and there's no one we can really connect with on it. And there's a lot of steps to it. There's steps that help calm down, and then there's steps to actually attack and try to fix the root issues associated with these diseases. So it's not a 1, 2, 3, it's more like 1 through 20 steps, and you just start, but you can get great results, with the first few steps. So I'd say the first thing is really working on making health your number one priority. Try to get happy while you're trying to get healthy. Meaning when you're divorcing alcohol and divorcing processed food and you're divorcing all these restaurants your friends are going to, your social life can be impacted, your dating life can be impacted. And all of a sudden your spirit is upset. You're going, wait, I'm trying to get healthy and it's making me miserable.
Mhm.
Right? Think about the healthiest food. Does it sound fun?
To me,
See?
it does.
To you. But to a lot of us, it's like, oh, the healthiest food. Think about the best party.
Mhm.
Is it with a salad? We
Right.
have this society. What do we do on prom night?
Drink alcohol?
And what do we eat? Pizza, whatever's in
Yeah.
front of us, McDonald's, Wendy's, late night, 3 in the morning, drunken Wendy's. What
Hmm.
do we do birthdays? What about Christmas?
Cakes and pies and
What do we do Halloween? What do we
candy.
do when we
Yeah.
celebrate? We poison ourselves.
Hmm.
So I say start there. And then as you start and you start getting conviction and you have fortitude to say, healing is my number one priority. My health matters more than these things. And I'm going to go through some of that pain of feeling isolated, feeling alone, feeling not understood, spending a bit more money. because I want to be happy and healthy. That's where I failed. Guys, it took me 4 years to get any results trying to heal life-threatening Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. When I did, I started to get happy. Before, I'd go to a naturopath doctor, they'd recommend some supplements, they'd recommend a diet, and I was miserable doing it. Miserable. And I was like, I can't eat anything outside. Why would I go anywhere?
I'm curious, what did the doctors recommend? And I do want to dive into your story, but in the beginning, when you started getting your different symptoms, what did the doctors say to you? Did anything that they recommended work?
It helped for a bit. And, there's a long story. I want to finish a few things on your first question, just a few other things just about what's different today is I just want to give one or two more things and kind of finish it off, and then let's go to
I
my
apologize for
story
interrupting you.
and we'll go to story and we'll go to what the doctors told me and what I realized there. But other things, just think about what your great grandfather ate or did in a day, and look for the little things that are different now because they add up day to day to day. Like, did your great grandfather ever drink water out of a plastic bottle?
Mm,
Nope, never existed. Did your great grandfather open wrappers to fulfill his appetite?
right.
Nope, never existed.
Yeah.
These bars. I mean, it's just like they're like, oh, this is a healthy bar. It's like, well, it's processed. What's healthy is something you pick off a tree, a root vegetable you dig out of the ground, an animal that gave its life for our ability to have food that,
Mm,
yesterday or from a local farm. That's health, real water, real living water, real teas, herbs, fresh fruit, high in vitamins and antioxidants and water intake. Like, try to just look back to the earth. And I think a lot of us get overwhelmed because it's hard spiritually to get out of society. And then that's only one step. Can it work really well for us? Yes. But I'm sure it took you some time to really get there. It definitely took me time. It took me about 4 years, 4 or 5 years to really get convicted after I was in natural medicine school, after I was suffering and fighting for my life. It's not something easy because you have to rebuild kind of your identity and your identity with your social crowd. We are social beings. We need community. We need people who agree with us. I always like to say, what would Jesus's disciples have been if they didn't have each other? He had 12 disciples. So if they all just were doing it alone, you think they would have succeeded? I don't think so.
yeah.
We succeed as a team, as humans. We succeed as a crowd, right? And that's why we have social norms, cliques, ideas. I feel comfortable wearing this. I feel comfortable saying this because of my community, the social norms. I care if I'm comfortable eating this, right? When you're on a sports team, most famous sports are community sports, football, right? Basketball, swim
Yeah.
team. You do it with the community makes you better. You're never gonna, that's why we don't like working out alone. You work out with someone, you're gonna work out harder, or talk more. It depends on how much you get along. So I just wanted to say that look for the things and try to simplify your life back towards a God-given world and try to cook your own food. If you can try to cook your own food and just try to eat real food, your intuition's going to get sharp. You're going to really start learning what makes you feel better. And it's not forever. I can go out and celebrate. Right now, I could go have a piece of pizza. I could go out and have Subway if I wanted. I'll be fine. But I've also gotten to a spiritual place that I don't desire it, but I can do it. So I don't want you to have a diet. I want you to have a lifestyle. So think of vegans, right? Most vegans are not vegan because they have to be for their health. That's the phenomenon of new diets. Diets back in the day were more like, I want to feel more energetic and I want to live longer and I don't believe in killing animals, so I'm going to be vegan or I'm going to be, and it was more of a desire. Nowadays, it's I have an autoimmune disease, I have this disease and I need to eat restrictive. So we're eating restrictive out of fear. But I really think the way to success is to build desire. So I don't have a diet, I have a lifestyle. Everyone write that down. Get rid of a diet and build a lifestyle. It starts as a diet, that's fine. But when you change your spirit, you can really desire it. And then it's easy to stay away from poisonous foods. So these are all lessons I learned from Pain to Purpose. And I was diagnosed with first ulcerative colitis, which is a form of inflammatory bowel disease. And then I was later by a different doctor diagnosed with Crohn's disease, another form of inflammatory bowel disease that affects the whole GI tract. So Crohn's can affect anywhere from your mouth all the way down to your anus, so large intestine, small intestine, duodenum, ileum, jejunum, stomach, esophagus. And the ulcerative colitis tends to only affect the large intestine, like 8 feet of your colon. Colon's roughly 8 feet long. And there are different forms of that. Then you have microscopic colitis and you have pancolitis. Pancolitis is the entire colon. And microscopic means they can't see it visually in a colonoscopy, but they can see it under a microscope when they take samples. And yeah, and so these are different forms. So I was diagnosed with that. And over the years, it just got worse and worse. So it kept spreading. I kept getting stronger. And, a few years later, by the time my 27th birthday, I was on a feeding tube. I was in a hospital for 5 weeks straight. And I was on 4 different antibiotics. I was on infused 200 milligrams of prednisone, which is a steroid to calm down inflammation. So it's like the most powerful form you can get. I was then also on upwards of 3 grams, which is a massive dose of Dilaudid. Dilaudid is the most powerful painkiller, opioid, they can give you in the hospital. It's 7 times stronger than morphine. If anyone's ever had morphine for like breaking their arm or something, they'll give you morphine and to help with the pain. So I was on the strongest dose, and I was having 25, 30 bowel movements a day. I was told I had to get my colon removed right then and there, and I'm lucky I didn't perforate. I'm lucky it didn't get worse. The doctors helped save my life. But I kept fighting, and what actually did save my life, and it was just vicious. I wasn't getting better. Weeks and weeks stuck in a bed, and I lost 65 pounds in that hospital, and I lost the ability to eat, and I was on a feeding tube, and I was having 20 bloody bowel movements a day. And my dad, my mom, my 2 sisters flew into California, and they told my mom I might not live and I might die in December of 2014. And I just turned 27 in the hospital. What actually helped save my life was an antiviral chemotherapy. So, long story short, what's going on with this kid? He's on antibiotics, he's on all this stuff. Why isn't he recovering? Because most of us with IBD, it's not life-threatening. And you recover with some, antibiotics or steroids or biologics. And I was on Remicade, then Entyvio, methotrexate, 6-MP, mesalamine. Anyone with IBD knows what I'm talking about. And the chemotherapy was because a doctor had stained for a virus called cytomegalovirus a few years ago and found a bit in a colonoscopy sample. He only found it once out of multiple colonoscopies in one doctor. And so my mom had taken over as like head doctor in that hospital, like calling everyone I'd ever seen. What is going on? What is going on? He said they had to give me an antiviral chemotherapy infusion or else I was going to die because he believed the virus had taken over my body. And he was right. So I went on this chemotherapy. I was on it for 6 weeks. I did start recovering and I checked myself out of the hospital, and then I was housebound for a year. So it took me about I don't know, about 2 to 3 weeks to be able to start like being able to have a talk and have conversations. I was just gone. And then it took me about, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months to where I could start walking on my own. And then it took me about 10 to 12 months to where I could, leave and start working again and start doing things. And then about 18 months, 20 months later, I was 185 pounds. I was about 85% symptom free, gotten rid of most of it. My colonoscopy looked about 85% better. And I was medication free, and I never got a surgery. And it's been over 10 years since I've had a medication, and I've never had surgeries. And I've been able to take care of myself and keep myself healthy and help thousands of people do the same. And I've just been on a mission, pain to purpose.
That's incredible. Can we go back to the beginning? Because I'm sure you didn't end up there overnight. So I'm wondering for the listeners, were there warning signs? Maybe they're experiencing things that you experienced in the beginning,
Yeah.
and there's things that they can implement now to save them from going through all that pain and heartache that you had
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
through.
Good point. I mean, I see 3-year-olds with Crohn's disease. So just first off, it's not your fault. We do what we can, but it's an epidemic right now. And so we do what we can. And things I noticed over time is number one, I mean, I was just eating completely processed fake food the whole time. And every single time I got sick, the doctors put me on an antibiotic. I don't think that helped. Um, I had IBS type symptoms, but not bad. I mean, this came on with a vengeance. This didn't just and I do say that if you have IBS, I personally consider IBS kind of like pre-IBD It just takes a few bad decisions where you have to take a round of really bad antibiotics, or you've got to get a few. If you don't do have a nasty reaction to a vaccine, we're all different. Or you are somebody who just goes through an extremely stressful mode or catches a bug, and then boom, I've seen it click. I've seen a lot of people have IBS then turn into IBD. So I do consider IBS kind of like pre-IBD. I think you should act now if you have IBS. Okay? Act now. And we can talk about some things I want you to do today. Other signs, you know, right before, I mean, literally right before I got diagnosed with left-sided ulcerative colitis at 22 years old, roughly, and I got my first symptoms in blood in the stool at 19, I was doing Invisalign.
Hmm.
So I was using Invisalign that was moving my teeth with these plastic containers, and it opens up your gums. And then I'm chewing on the plastic. My saliva is breaking down the plastic, and it's going into my open gums from the moving teeth.
Mm.
And I mean, literally, right after about 13 months of Invisalign, you have colitis. Research, as of the last 2 years, research has shown that people with IBD have 50% more microplastics than people who don't have IBD.
Oh, wow.
We're seeing more clinical research showing that microplastics could be a core reason why people's microbiomes being disrupted. We're seeing this chronic inflammation. So if you think that could be you, it's highly important you get the plastic out of your life. The Teflon you're putting foods in, you're heating up, and the Invisalign, the drinking water out of plastic bottles. You go to a store and you spend so much money on this water, this pH water, this perfect electrolyte water, and it's sitting in a plastic bottle. That thing has been sitting in sun, sitting in a warehouse. It was probably bottled God knows how long ago. It's not living, it's dead water, and it's probably got BPA or other microplastics that are linked with inflammation in the gut. So
Mm.
that's, I think, really big. I think that people who are constantly taking NSAIDs, eating foods high in glyphosate, the microplastics, processed foods, people eating foods with emulsifiers like polysorbate 80. So ice creams and peanut butter like Jif and Skippy and stuff like this. Emulsifiers hold food together. You ever seen an organic peanut butter and there's fat at the top of the glass jar? Okay, that
Yeah.
means it doesn't have the emulsifiers. You get a Skippy or it's just complete like Play-Doh. That's emulsifiers holding that together. And those have been clinically shown to disrupt the mucous membrane on the gut lining, leading to leaky gut and weakening the barrier of the gut lining. You got to get rid of those. So I think that it's a combination of these things. You want to be very careful and make sure you're taking antibiotics when you really need them. And ask your doctor if it's okay to take something like doxycycline instead of Cipro, instead of Flagyl. Maybe amoxicillin, even better, or doxycycline. I think doxycycline is the most gentle, and then maybe amoxicillin. And I really try to stay away from Cipro and Flagyl if I can. And so these are things. And we go back to the grandfathers. They had fermented foods all the time. Their breads were milled at home and properly fermented. And do you know that one of the highest sprayed crops is wheat? And now everyone's, oh, gluten and wheat's so bad. Well, it's sprayed right before it's harvested because it easily gets moldy and gets ruined.
Mm.
So it's like the later they spray the crop in the harvesting, the more likely we're to get sensitivities and get negative reactions with it.
That makes sense.
So it's just food. Wheat bread is not bread. Alcohol is not alcohol anymore. It's just not the same thing. And when you dig into it, you'll see it and you'll have this epiphany of, oh gosh, I get it. I see it. So I think the microplastics were really big. I think whey protein. I was a gym guy and I would drink whey protein from General Nutrition Center. I call it General Narcotics Center. It's this place with this whey protein is extremely inflammatory. It's A1, it's got all sorts of chemicals. Our body has never had this type of protein powder. I was drinking that. I was having at least 80 grams of protein a day for months. Gym guy. So
Just
if
for
you're a gym,
powder?
yeah, all the old whey protein powders for people who want to build muscle and burn fat. I was putting a lot of stress. I think the fitness world, I'm definitely seeing an increase of people having negative reactions. If you're really into fitness, watch out because are you exercising for performance or are you exercising for health? There's a difference. I don't think trying to get that ripped is worth your health. When you lose your gut, when your immune system becomes hyperreactive, it's just never worth it. And so I was doing constant, 2-a-day workouts. I was taking pre-workout caffeine. I was having really poor quality proteins. I was pushing my body into a massive stress mode. Almost anyone who I've seen diagnosed or get a really bad flare will say that they were under some sort of stress before they got sick again. And that stress could be from the winter. It could be from, I think, in my opinion, certain vaccinations. It could have been from a breakup. It could have been from going out on a vacation and traveling to a different country and eating all this random food and staying out till 2 in the morning. Stress comes in many forms. And so I think with exercise, sometimes we put ourselves in this really deep, stressful state voluntarily. And that's where I really got off the high horse of fitness is like I was 6% body fat and shredded, and I could, bench press 320 pounds and I could do 30 pull-ups. I was strong, but my gut was being destroyed. My nervous system was constantly in red zone. I was constantly pushing my body to do more than what it wanted to do to look that way. I did some acting, I did modeling, and I was in a few magazines and things like that. I wasn't this veined up, real bodybuilder, but I was looking good. And it came at the cost of my health. And when I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, I realized the more I pushed my body, the more I needed prednisone, or the more I would get these reactions. So you've got to really rebuild your body and be smart about fitness. I think that was something. So I think, the fitness, the food, the hidden toxins, the microplastics that were different that no one had ever done before. Invisalign, we were test dummies. We've been test dummies for Invisalign. We've been test dummies for, I think, a lot of things. So I think if you're getting reactions, and look at that now. And I think another one is this idea of drinking cold tap water. Never did your great grandfather be exposed to tap water that had chlorine and hormones and
Mm.
heavy metals. Now they had other problems in their water, parasites and bacteria and things like that. But when they went to a local stream, those stream water is actually clean. Now we dump off toxins into our water, and it puts toxins into our streams. There's glyphosate found in our rainwater now because glyphosate is a water soluble. It's in our soil. It's in our rain. It's everywhere. We live in a world that's been made toxic for capitalism, and it's sad, because never did humans have the ability to kill 10 million chickens a day and make sure they were on the plate of every Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, Denny's, and all these restaurants where you can just get dead animals. I mean, what are we doing to do that? And there's repercussions to all of that. And I don't want to just be a negative Nancy. I just want to say, get aware that your environment is toxic. And then if you can make a spiritual and mental decision that health is your number one priority. And then I know it's still hard because I'm like, Dane, I've been doing this. I've been trying this. I'm alone. I can't keep this up. I'm hungry. What do I do when I'm social? It costs too much. I get there's barriers. But as you slowly find ways, for me, I mean, I was in a life-threatening situation. So Jessica, it was kind of a do or die. I had to push, and conventional medicine helped save my life. Prednisone helped save my life. I did help. Antibiotics, chemotherapy helped save my life. Painkillers maybe helped me sleep when I was in a 10 out of 10 pain. So I think conventional medicine is valuable and useful, but I think the ultimate goal is to use it alongside holistic medicine. And then the overall leader of this is you to become the CEO of your health, right? Become the CEO of your health and use all assets to get empowered, customize your answer, and learn to dance in the rain, get happy, get connected people with similar values, similar goals. And that's what I did. And that's why, when I did this, I started working with people with IBD. So once I got these results, it was like, I wanted to be around other people with IBD and see what worked and why. I had a kinship with them. And it didn't matter gender, race, creed, political, it didn't matter. I mean, we are here for the common purpose that we believe and know we deserve to be healthy, and we can. And it's a faith that you can heal, a deep faith. And And so, yeah. And then over the last 10 or 12 years, I've built IBD University and the S.H.I.E.L.D program, and we have coaches, professors, we have doctors on our team, and we help hundreds and hundreds of people around the world build their own unique plan for IBD, some IBS if we feel its integrity, and everyone gets a customized plan. Everyone on our team has IBD, treats IBD, specializes in IBD, and the goal is to get happy and healthy at the same time, and get rid of the diet, build a lifestyle, and then make sense of this. I mean, we could spend another 3 hours talking about root causes and what we actually found, and I hope we have time to I can give you a few today. But I would just recommend anyone out there, find some sort of community. And like the internet is such a power tool now. Get a community, get involved. Try to get involved with people who have the same goals as you. It's like two people want to get healthy, but they could be completely different. One's vegan, one's carnivore, one has this disease, one has that disease. One is in a different environment. One is from India, one is from Canada. So try to find a hyper community. If you have IBS, IBD, find a community for IBD, IBS. If you have Lyme, or you have rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, endometriosis, try to get connected with people who have the same diagnosis and learn from each other and cherry pick from each other and build your custom answer. Learn from them, but you don't have to copy them.
I sense that a deeper transformation happened for you through this experience. Beyond just the physical part of it, you've referenced the Bible, you've talked about faith,
Hmm.
and I'm just curious what what was that part like for you? Did you get to somewhere? Did you maybe have different beliefs beforehand and went through some sort of inner transformation at the same time during this?
Absolutely. If you are chronically sick, my belief is you can't heal until you heal spiritually. Absolutely. Here's some interesting. I didn't sleep through the night. I had bowel movements through the night for like I think 8 or 9 months straight this one time. I mean, I was just sick. And I was just, 15 during the day, 4 at night. I couldn't sleep. And I knew I needed to sleep to actually even be able to calm down my nervous system and heal. And I was still trying to work, and I was living my life. I always had some spiritual belief. I always considered myself a good person. I didn't take advantage of people. I was good. I just a just human as far as like you could be, right? Um, and I had gone to do this job in Ohio, and I got back, and I was so sick in Ohio. And I got on an airplane. I was using the bathroom on the airplane. I felt so sick, and I got into my house, and something snapped in me, and I said, "I'm not leaving this house till I have a plan." And this was like 4 years of being sick, um, and it was just it was just a lot. It was just a lot. So I walked in my house, and I just something snapped in me. I was no longer willing to be sick. I think a lot of us out there were trying to juggle this, and we're trying to do work, we're trying to be social, we're trying to date, and when we're sick, and it's just like weighing on us so much. Man, it weighed on me for a lot of years. I mean, a lot of years. I was just living a double life. And I walked in my house, and something snapped in me, and it was like, I am not leaving this house till I have a plan. Like I just couldn't do it anymore. I have to have my plan. I don't know what to eat. I don't know what's going to work. There's all this conflicting information online, but I just felt this conviction come over me, and I macheted a bunch of paper together. I just felt like when you get to the end of your rope, you're just going to do it. You're just going to make it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just going to start taking action. And I macheted this paper together. I hole punched it. I safety pinned it together, and I wrote on the front of it 40 days and 40 nights. And I was going to track every little thing I did for 40 days and 40 nights. And my life changed right there. And then I turned the page. And I was like, okay, what should I do every single day that I think is safe, that I'm willing to do, and that I think could help with the years of inflammatory bowel disease getting worse and worse and worse? Um, and the first thing that came to my heart was pray. It's like, so I ask you out there, what are things, write this question down. What are things you can do every day that have low risk, can't hurt you, but could have reward, could work, could help? And then I said prayer. And then the second thing was like affirmations. And then the third thing was like half a gallon of water with electrolytes. That sounds pretty good. Fourth thing is, okay, what do I eat? I was like, well, I don't know what to eat. So I'm going to, for these 40 days, I'm only going to eat what I cook. See, that's just conviction. A lot of the answer is conviction, not a math equation. It turns into a math equation, but you have to start with the obvious. So I said, I'm just gonna document, I'm gonna eat what I intuitively feel like helps me, and then I'm gonna document how I do. That changed my life right there. And so I wrote these things down, and I had like 6 things. I was like, these 6 things are I'm just gonna say. And those were a few of them. And then right there, I just got on my knees. I didn't just kind of pray, God, please. I mean, when you're in pain, right? That's when we pray, ironically. I got on my knees and I just started praying. Give me the conviction, give me the fortitude, give me the wisdom. Help me become the man. And that was 20, I was like 23, 24. I mean, I almost died after this, by the way. Okay. So it was a long journey.
Yeah.
But that's when I just started. I don't know. I feel like I went from a boy to a man right there. I really feel like I like to say this. I know 18-year-old men and 40-year-old boys. Um, and I just something snapped. I just became accountable. And I prayed to walk this path. You ever just gone for a walk down a weird trail and you're like, oh, I don't know about this. But then you're just like, some fortitude comes in you. That's why I say spiritual's the first. Because until I got spiritually convicted, it was too hard to get rid of the Doritos. It was too hard to get rid of the alcohol. It was too hard to go to bed on time. It was too hard to say no to the party. It was too hard not to, deal with a lot of stuff. And so I started praying morning and night. I did an affirmation morning and night. I started reading the book. Another thing is I said, I'm going to read a book on healing. And so I started reading The Maker's Diet by Jordan Rubin. It was one of the big books. I read a ton of books, but that was like the second, it was the first 3 books I started reading, that Maker's Diet. Well, he had a prayer in it. So I ripped it out, taped it to my desk. He had a morning prayer and night prayer, and I just read that and I used aromatherapies. So I found these aromatherapies that online said could help with the nervous system and vagal nerve tone. And I was like, okay, well, that's whatever. Can it hurt to smell some essential oils? No. That's how I felt, right? Again, what's the question, guys? What can you do that can hurt, can only help? So essential oils, rub them together on the neck, on the back, through the hair, here, right? Breathe them in, shake it out, and then say my morning prayer. Father God, this is the day the Lord has made. I rejoice and I'm glad in it. Please heal every ligament, tissue, organ in my body, right? It's been 12 years. It's still there in my cells. So, and then all of a sudden I got clarity. I got more conviction as I started to practice faith. Healing is faith. And it was like, what else can I do? I'm not going to live in a dirty house. Dirty house makes me stressful. I immediately cleaned my house. My room is clean. My bed is made. And then when I made food, I listened to positive music. I turned off the shoot 'em up movies. I turned off Netflix. I turned off hateful, crazy music that I would use to pump myself up at the gym. And it was Bob Marley. It was Christian music. It was Mozart. It was anything about the sun. And then I opened the windows and I let the light in. I lived in Southern California. That's what I always knew. It was just a better place to heal and where I wanted to live. So I was from Virginia, moved there. I went to bed at the same time every night. I didn't care what anyone was doing. And I was 20, I mean, I was a kid. Everyone was doing stuff. I lived in Southern California. I was an actor and model when I was 22, 23. Like I was trying to be cool, and nope, none of that mattered. I go to bed at this time. I'm getting in the sun. I got 20 minutes every day of sunshine. I read for 20, 30 minutes, only solutions, only healing. I went back to school for natural medicine. I found 2 local naturopath doctors and professors who I started meeting with and talking with and told them about my diagnosis, and they greatly helped me. We started talking about energy and meditation and visual healing and EFT, and they taught me about bentonite clay and binders and how to use that with a bulking agent like acacia fiber or psyllium husk to clean out my colon. And they taught me about digestive enzymes and antioxidants and mitochondrial energy and creating space in the body and how longevity works and all of it. They taught me the microbiome. And so it was a really good foundation because now I was learning something that I was excited about. I'd never been excited in school. So now I was getting excited. Now I was taking what I was learning in school and I was testing it on myself. Patient zero, and I started learning about fasting. And it was like, okay. every Sunday, and this is like about 5 months into being housebound, I got stuck. I got about 60%, 65% symptoms gone, and I gained about 30 pounds. So I'm like 6'2", 155 now. Okay. And I'm 195, 193 as you see me today.
Yeah, that's
And
small. I mean,
and
154.
yeah, I was malnourished. Me, when I was 23, I walked around like 175, 6% body fat. Just like when I'm super lean, I'm like 175. So I was still like really underweight. And and I'm just like kind of stuck. And then I just, I'd do a little meditation, I'd go out for walks, I'd read, and then I'd get into a deeper level of conviction. Every time I got stuck, I had to unlock a deeper spiritual, faithful knowingness and conviction. And that's when I said, I'm going to stop any type of even side meals. I'm only going to eat these 3 times a day. I'm going to bring in my window of eating, and then I'm going to start fasting on Sundays. And I'm going to use bone broth that I made that's lower in histamine, and then I might have a little something else. And that plus the bentonite clay plus and then it was like, I was getting a lot of sun. I think that really helped out with the viral load. And because vitamin D acts like a hormone that can help boost the IQ of your immune system and control viruses and other things like that. And the cytomegalovirus, and then that's when I started finally seeing the blood go. Like I had 10 out of 10 blood to 7 out of 10 blood, 10s being the worst, to 5 out of 10 blood, to 4 out of 10 blood. It took a while. And so it was just like these little small movements of like, it's like you're hitting a wooden board and your hand's hurting, you're hitting it over and over again, and then you have to kind of work on your resolve and try to hit it even sharper where you're trying to hit it and hit it even harder. And it's like, no, now I'm going to do everything I did, but now I'm going to fast once a week. Now I'm going to add in an enema. Now I'm going to add in the suppository. Now I'm going to do meditation for 2 hours on this day, right? Now I'm going to add in low dose naltrexone. Like when I say you have to feel mentally, because you're going to probably get some results and then get stuck. And then you get some results, and you have to have this resolve. You have to have this conviction to double down. It's like building a business. It's like building a marriage. It's like building a child. Like all of us, I have 2 kids, one on the way. When you have a 3-month-old and that thing's crying at 2 a.m, you got to have resolve. You're like, I need to sleep. I can't keep this up. But you've just got to get through that moment, rebuild your resolve, and get in there. When they're 3 years old, when they're 6 years old, whatever was going on with your children at 8 or 10. That's the beautiful thing about life. And I think what helped me with this idea of having faith in God throughout this process is it all seems very similar. Like we are tested. Life is hard. But through that resolve, we create a beauty.
Mm.
So I think that it's that was the spiritual shift. And faith isn't easy, and they call it faith for a reason. But at the end of the day, we just have a decision. What do you want your reality to be? What do you want to create? Right? Isn't creation the idea of God in a way, like the all creator? You pray and you ask for a creation of something. Take this away, create an environment. This isn't here. Create an environment. This is here. Right? Create. So what do you want to create? And I wanted to create a life where I wasn't alone, and I wanted to create a life that there was purpose, and I wanted to create a life that this would be the best thing that ever happened to me, and I wanted to create a life where I could still live my future. I don't know how many out there felt like they had high hopes for their future. That was me. So when I got sick, it was like, no, this wasn't for me. I wasn't meant for this, and there's great power in that. And I'm not going to allow this to be my reality. I'm going to take this and turn it into one of the best things that ever happened to me. And I brought that and at first, before I had that resolve, I'd go on a date and I was ashamed because I didn't feel like any woman could accept who I was. A sick young man who couldn't stay away from a bathroom. How disgusting. Right? I was actor. I was acting. Obviously, I had an ego and I had something to prove, right? That I had to work out and get rid of that.
So that's why God put you in that situation.
Well, hindsight 2020, maybe so. I mean, I just thought it was like smite. I was angry when I was first. I was like, how could you? I was from Virginia, from farmland. I didn't know anyone. I took a one-way flight to LA, and all of a sudden, I'm going out on commercials. I'm shooting with Patagonia and Skechers and Crocs and Nautica, and I'm on live television with Tommy Hilfiger and wearing his outfits. I'm going to events where Leonardo DiCaprio is right there and Tom Hanks is right there. And I can't control my bowel movements. I'm losing weight. I would be at events. They go, "Whoa, this guy's skinny," because you know the whole model skinny thing, like a Zoolander. He doesn't models, don't he? And I'd be
Mhm.
sitting in my head, and people would make jokes about how skinny I was because I was 145 pounds at some points. You know, I'd be out on jobs, and then they'd send me home because I didn't. I lost 20 pounds in the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
It was a hellish experience. And so I was smiteful. Like, how could you open a door? I just graduated college. I quit my 9 to 5 job in an office. I was $40,000 in debt from college. And all of a sudden I'm going out for jobs where they're going to fly me to Bermuda. They're going to fly me to Puerto Rico. And there's a zillion good looking guys in the world, but they want me, my hard work. And all of a sudden, I'm making thousands. I could make $4,000 in a day shooting and do magazine or campaign or be in a mall picture or something like this, or I doing commercials. And yet I'm dying of a disease at the same time. I'm having
Mm.
night sweats through the night, blood in my stool, like the toilet looks like a crime scene. I'm losing weight. I'm in severe pain. I remember I got booked to go to do shoot a sandals commercial in Jamaica, 10 days. And it was a 5-figure opportunity for 10 days. I had my mom wheelchair me to the airport. Not joking. I needed the money. Or else I'd have to leave my apartment, move back in with my mom in Virginia. This
And you were
wasn't
able
just
to do
about
it?
like, yeah, it was like, it wasn't about gloating. It wasn't about look at me, which is what people think of in that industry. I was just trying to survive. I used to complain to my mom because I was very upset spiritually, extremely. I used to say, like, I feel like Two-Face from Batman. Like, I literally lived 2 different lives. Like, here's this guy who has this really cool thing happen at 22 years old. At the same time, the worst thing happened to you at 22 years old. Like, I'm diagnosed with an incurable disease, a butt disease. How shameful. Like, this is ridiculous. I can't eat food and I can't get on a bus without worrying about pooping my pants. But yet I'm in magazines. What the heck is this? I just couldn't help but laugh. It was so painful. And, what I did on that, and that was, I also learned when I went to Jamaica because when I was in Jamaica, I started getting better. I was on a beach every day. I was grounding every day. I was getting 2 hours of sun. We were laughing. We were eating fresh caught wild fish. I wasn't miserable in my house. I did just ask the doctor to give me more prednisone so I could actually make it through. And it's ironic because they hired me like 6 years later. I stopped all this 10 years ago. Right in my 20s, this was another life. But the same director who shot that commercial for sandals hired me again like 7 years ago. But I was like 50 pounds heavier and healed. And he was like, "Wow, you look so different. You were so skinny last time I saw you." I was like, "Yeah, I was dying of Crohn's disease. I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to fire me." We had a laugh about it. He was like, "Wow, congratulations, man." But yeah, so these are stories. I mean, yeah, it's crazy stories. I mean, on day 5 of shooting, we were doing a night shoot where it's like the parents are out with their drinks at the dock, laughing and smiling and hands in the air. And my bowels were going so nuts. I was wearing like $800 of Tommy Bahama clothes that they had for the commercial, like like linen and white pants, white pants. IBD, they don't mix. And I'm running into the woods, and the director's sitting up there going, "Where are you going?" He was on this like crane thing shooting down like that. And he
Mhm.
was like, "Hey, we're ready to shoot. Where are you going?" I was running into the woods. Be right back. I told him I was going to throw up. No, I was going to poop my pants.
Wow.
So I pooped in the woods, grabbed a big Jamaican leaf, wiped my butt with the Jamaican leaf, and went back to shoot the rest of the commercial,
Wow.
holding some drink that would kill me if I drank it, some alcoholic beverage with sugar. And then I got to put a smile on. Hey, here we are. I mean, it was to me, it was the sickest trick that could be played on a human. It was crazy. Um, but I think in the end, it did save me from the ego and the narcissism of that industry.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help but look at it from that perspective of, from a religious, spiritual, just
Yeah.
it's funny because they say how God has a sense of humor, and then they talk about, like the death of the ego, and yeah, it just sounds like that whole all of it was meant to put you here, and now you're helping thousands of people in the world.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. And that's why I say this shame because a lot of us are out there listening and we're just in deep shame and anger. And it's crazy. Like I used to just be someone who tried to look perfect, and now I talk about bowel movements. And there's an irony in that. And I think, but I'm blessed for it because I have a home now with IBD. I built what I needed. I always tell people that, like when they say, how'd you do this? I spent 10 or 12 years building what I see to be the best IBD program in the world. I mean, we've had helped thousands of people. We have more testimonies than any doctor, clinic, hospital, and all of our people have IBD and specialize in it. We're one of a kind. And there's nothing like it in the world. And I just said, like, I just built what I needed. Every time I went
Mm.
to it, we spent $30,000 trying to heal me and my family in the first year, and we were a middle class family. And I got worse. I mean, all the flying and the functional medicine laboratory and what my insurance wouldn't cover, and all the supplements and all the organic foods we were reading on Dr. Google. I got worse. Natural medicine did not work for me. I would do 3 days of pureed carrots. I'd do 3 days of bone broth reset. I would only eat paleo, get rid of gluten. I took hookworm therapy. I made my own yogurts and kefir, and um, I was just getting worse. And so, what really worked for me, number one, is when I really took back my mind, because all that stuff I did, Jessica, I was doing as a cheat code. I was looking for what I call now MPS, Magic Protocol Syndrome. So I'd
Mm.
get these doctors, naturopathic, usually, who'd say, only eat this for 2 weeks, then come back and see me, and let's do a reset. And then, like day 10, I would like want to puke up the food. I hated it. And then I would just numb myself watching Netflix, just binging stuff because I couldn't go anywhere. So I'd see healing as like a prison. It was like, and then my mom would try to keep talking me into it. Just hold on a little longer. I was a kid. She would come live with me. She lost her job trying to stay with me and help me out. When she rolled me on, she was in Miami with me when she rolled me out of the airport to Jamaica. She lost her job, you
Mm.
know? But what really worked is it was when I really took the reins, when I really decided I'm going to heal me. I'm not going to just try to pay someone else to heal me. I'm going to heal me. I became the CEO of my health. And that's how I journaled. That's where I started saying, what can I do that's low risk, high reward? That's when I started only cooking my own food. That's when I went back to school for natural medicine. That wasn't my mom's idea. That wasn't my dad's idea. That was my idea. You are the answer. What are your ideas listening right now? Calm yourself down, get the fire in your belly, get the conviction. What's the answer? Do you need a community? Do you need a training center? Do you need a coach? Do you need a plan? Should you be journaling? Should you be doing meditation? Should you be doing prayer? Should you be only cooking your own food? Should you get rid of all that plastic water bottle? Should you be sitting in the sun 20 minutes a day? Right?
Mm.
Do you have experience? Should you be going after parasites, viruses? Should you be going using certain binders after biofilms and toxic release? Should you be doing a liver reset? Should you be doing enemas, suppositories? What what is it going to take? And once you get that conviction in your belly, you just start stacking. And you need an avenue to get possible solutions. So I built IBD University, and it's basically the vision is a private center for only people who have IBD who share. So like 2,000 members talk to each other every day. Hey, what's working? Hey, I got great results. Here's my lab test. Here's my colonoscopy. Going over that. Um, and then they also have their coach. And then we have professors who go live every single week to train on nutrition, train on protocol, train on mental health. Like we have an EFT specialist who just works on trauma. And Dr. Chow, who just does like supplements and herbs, and he's a naturopathic doctor, chiropractic doctor. He's an acupuncturist. He has 3 doctorates, and he also is specialized in traditional Chinese medicine. So he'll just go live on a different herb or a tea or a lab test or a different supplement and how to use it and why and how to titrate it. Like, get trained, get empowered, because when you do that, you will actually unlock the idea of being healthier than the healthy. Like if you're someone who had all the money in the world, would you want to hire the best coach on longevity to reduce the chance of disease and live your most optimal life as long as you can? That's something I would do. If I had all the money in the world, I'd be just hiring the best doctors. Like, hey, and guess
Mm.
what? 95% of what they're going to train you to do to live the longest and without disease is the exact same thing as healing chronic disease. It's the exact same thing. They're going to teach you about glyphosate. They're going to teach you about emulsifiers. They're going to teach you about when to eat. They're going to teach you about fasting. They're going to teach you about supplements. Dave Asprey takes over 80 supplements a day.
That
Longevity
seems
guy.
excessive.
Yeah, Brian Johnson, the longevity don't die guy, 100.
Excessive.
Excessive. Exactly. I'm just talking to people who are trying to move into like, I'm going to live for it till 140.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to do that. No. I'm just showing you where they're trying to go for longevity. 95% of what we're doing in the longevity space is the exact same thing of healing chronic disease. So when you heal chronic disease, you increase your chance of a longer, better life.
Mhm.
Let this be a catalyst. Let this be the best thing that ever happened to you.
Oh, Dane, what a fascinating story. You have just, from what you've gone through, you have a wealth of information that you probably could go on for hours, I
I'm a
imagine.
talker. You got to shut me up.
But yeah, I do want to respect your time, but I have two quick closing questions for you.
Mhm.
The first one being, what is your number one health tip? So number one, it could be health. I mean, it could be mindset, diet, and nutrition, physical, emotional, just the one piece of advice you would like everyone to know.
You know, if I just had to boil it up in one, all of it's important. Nutrition is extremely important. Supplements are fantastic. Herbs and teas are fantastic. Sleep is important. Your nervous system is amazing and important. Getting sun every day is important. I mean, all this stuff is extremely important. If I had to boil it down to one thing is you cannot get happy until you get, or I'm sorry, you cannot get healthy until you get happy. I think that's the middle of all this. Is if you can learn to dance in the rain, if you can learn grace and gratitude, and you can realize that true happiness is not monetary, it's not the clothes, it's not fame or fortune, it's the sun, it's the earth, it's faith, it's people. Like you can go on the biggest vacation in the world that costs $10,000 a night for a room and be miserable by yourself. Or you can go to the crappiest little motel with your three best friends and have the best time,
Mhm.
right? Happiness is a lot of things that really serve you to deal with that depression, deal with that anxiety, deal with that pain is is earthly things. It's community, it's connection to earth, connection to people, connection to God, connection to self, and just find that again, right? Find that again and nurture that and massage that. Just like when I got rid of alcohol, I really got enlightened over like what it was to connect with a friend. Like I don't need to be drunk to have a good time with you. And if I do, what kind of friendship is this? A fake one that's not going to last.
Mhm.
So the more I got rid of fake lifestyle things, the more I was tested to realize what true spiritual nourishment was. And when you have that nourishment, everything else starts from there. It gets a lot. It's so much easier to eat clean. It's so much easier to study. It's so much easier to invest in a program or a community, and much more likely to get results. If you do this, then come join the Shield program. I'm much more bullish that you're going to get great results
Mhm.
because you're already of the right mindset. It's the people come in who are angry and depressed and anxious and want me just to fix their life like a McDonald's drive-through. Those are the most difficult ones. Okay, so get happy to get healthy.
Mhm.
Start with a sense of balance. And if you're saying, I'm just too depressed, life is too hard, you need to be in nature. You need to be grounding with bare feet in the grass. You need to be getting sun. You need to be reading a positive book. You need to be doing prayer. You need to go to bed on time. And you need to get rid of the things that are the real depressants: alcohol, sugar, okay? Shoot 'em up movies, getting on social media and watching all this trolling and anger.
Yes. Yeah. Be mindful of what you put in your body, whether you're watching it, listening, eating it, whatever.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
For my last question, I'm going to ask you to choose a number 1 through 100.
Um, 88.
What's a global issue that you feel needs more attention?
Quality of food. I've even said, last thing I'll say is my goal in life is to get to a point where I don't just make more and more money, but to get to a point where I don't act for money anymore. I don't make decisions on money. And when that does, I think one of the biggest problems with our food supply is it's all based on making money. I I'll say this because I believe it's important to guys practice this. When you want to do something in life, tell everybody. It's called enrolling others. It's a great way. It's part of the law of attraction to see something come fruition. I'm going to get to a point where I no longer need money, and then I'm going to build a restaurant chain called Celebrations. And I'm not going to do it for a cent. I'm going to do it to create the best food possible for my family, myself, and the community around me who want to eat great. And I am not going to do it to make a dime. I'm going to do it because I want it in this world.
Dane, honestly, I am very grateful that you went through this in your lifetime. I think you were chosen for this for a reason. I think that someone who looks like you needed to be the person to talk
Mm,
about this. You're wearing it like a badge of honor, and you're speaking about it openly and helping so many people on this planet. So, thank
amen.
you for what you're doing, and thank you for being a guest on the podcast. It was really lovely to connect with you.
Thank you so much. God bless, guys. Happy healing.